Talking Tuesday. It's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Talking Tuesday. Show you how to do it right.
Yo, welcome to Talking Tuesday, where we have real cannabis players talking real cannabis issues. I got Ruvi here to my left. Mr. Keith is out, so she's taking Mr. Keith's spot. Not his place, but his spot. And so we got Ish Man to my right. He's our guest for the day. And we got Marco. And we're going to jump right into it and get into some real cannabis topics. But just before we jump into things, just click the button, subscribe down there at the bottom. And you know what I'm saying? Subscribe to the channel. Check us out. Like we always say, we're real cannabis players talking real cannabis issues. I ain't never played basketball. I played football in high school, but I wasn't no professional football player or, you know what I'm saying, none of that. And then decide all of a sudden I want to deal with cannabis because it's cool now. You know, y'all was closet smoking back in the day, and now you want to be all out in the open in the way. You know what I'm saying? You know, so anyway, let's jump right on into it. Shout out to President Ibrahim Traoré at Burkina Faso. Hey, brother, we support you 100%.
Yeah, man, we watching. We out here watching, fam. I'm going to tell you that right now.
We
watching.
You doing, and we like what you're doing,
yes,
and we support you 100%. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
and,
man.
you know,
pray for you every day.
Us real Black Americans support y'all, not the niggas, because you know there's a difference between a black man and a nigga. In case y'all don't know, I'm gonna be the one to tell you it's a difference, and it's the black folks, the brothers and sisters that support you. So we jumping right into it. We got Ishman here. You know Ishman.
All right.
Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them about yourself and your journey into your introduction into the cannabis industry. And I'm gonna throw one out there. Ishman, he don't burn. He don't burn. You know, he just a hustler. Like me back in the day, I didn't try smoking weed till I was 37. So I feel you, because it was all about, you know, getting where I was trying to get to. And smoking weed wasn't it.
Well, it was never nothing wrong with weed.
No, of course not.
But the way I react from smoking a joint, I'm stupid and silly. Okay, I'm like a big clown.
Right on.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us how you got into the cannabis industry. Even because, as my understanding, you predate legalization with your involvement in the cannabis industry. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, tell us about that.
It really goes back to 1981, Westchester High.
Whew.
Okay, it goes back. My father was a major grower in Inglewood.
Okay.
Over off of Gay Street. And my father had a big grow in his backyard, and he was producing cannabis and selling to all his buddies at the city of Los Angeles. One day, a cable man went on top of the roof, and he saw in the backyard that there was a leaf coming through the canvas, and he called 911. So that's where the demise started, and my father ended up getting 2 felonies for cultivating in the city of Inglewood and the city of Los Angeles.
Wow.
How many years were those 2 felonies?
He didn't do time.
Oh, he didn't do time?
No, he didn't do time. You know, he had a job, so he was able to do probation and just deal with it that way.
Got you.
Now, this was in what year?
I believe he got the 2 felonies probably in 1986, 85.
Okay.
Around the time.
I was 2 years old, y'all.
So I would have to say that it was not a... I would almost be willing to bet every dollar I had it wasn't a Karen, but it was a Ken that probably snitched.
Absolutely. It really was. It wasn't one of us. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It wasn't a Karen.
Yeah.
It was a Ken that snitched.
Yeah. So I used to go by my father's house, you know, and I'll stick my hands in his bag and put it in my own bag and take it to school. And me and Zach we'll sell weed around the campus to buy us some Fila and shit.
Right on.
You know, some Sergio Tacchini and shit like that.
Right.
You know, that's what we used to do back in the 80s. And, you know, and fix our cars up so we can cruise down Crenshaw.
Right on.
You know,
right
so,
on. Oh, Crenshaw. I used to cruise down Crenshaw back in the day myself. Boy.
Okay.
That was it, man. You know, those days were some different days when you talk about cruising. And the thing was for us is we used to hit Venice Beach, right?
Yeah.
We go walking up down the Venice Beach boardwalk, hang out, see all the honeys in the summertime in the bikinis, and back then they was in the biker shorts, right? And biker shorts, wee.
Oh yeah, we used to cruise over to Westwood. We used to cruise over to Westwood Boulevard on Friday, Saturday nights, and cruise Westwood. You know, and it was cool. You know, brothers selling nickel and dime bags back then. You know, it was good, man. It was the good days with the green. You know,
right on.
It was the good days. So I go back. You know, and I remember my first grow that I ever had. My first grow was grown in the closet.
Okay.
I started my first marijuana grow in the closet.
Right on.
You know, and that's where I started on my own indoor growing.
So fast forwarding, now we are into the legalization. And so what was your thought when it came to legalization?
I really feel that it was great opportunity. I figured something new and I need to be a part of it. You know, so when legalization came in, you know, I started researching it and I didn't have the documents for like that had the pre-ICOs. So I kind of felt that I was out the game.
Okay.
You know, because I didn't have those. I wasn't paying no taxes when I was out there selling an ounce here or there. So I didn't have that opportunity. So when time rolled on and the social equity program came into play, I was sitting up reading late at night one night, and I run across an article, and articles talked about the social equity program, and I was like, you know, what is this?
And where did you read that from?
Someplace online, I found it, but it sure wasn't posted up on the streets of Crenshaw.
I know that's right.
You know, and it should have been posted. If I knew what I knew today, I would have been standing out there letting everybody on Crenshaw Boulevard know social equity was here.
Educating everybody.
Exactly.
You know? So, but I didn't know. It was so much that I know today about the legalization of cannabis. If I would have been more being able to, what I knew today, if I would have knew it yesterday, I would think I would have been more like you. Okay.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. I don't know if that'd have been a good thing.
Yes, that would have been a good thing. Okay.
Hey, man, because it came with some knocks, man. It didn't come with, you know what I'm saying? Didn't come with what you see today.
No.
It came with a few knocks, you know, hard knocks. It came with, you know, which a lot of people don't know. It came with 2 state prison terms and a Fed term. You know what I'm saying? And so, and that was all cannabis.
Cannabis.
Like I ain't had no other charges but cannabis charges.
Yeah.
My first state bid was 11359 HS, which is possession for sales of marijuana from the Health and Safety Code. The second time it was 11360, which is transportation for sales. Because now I'm on probation. Just got out of state prison, like months. I'm already on the highway, hitting Humboldt, got weed in the trunk, on my way back, get pulled over. Now I'm going to jail once again, because I'm on probation. I just got out of prison. I'm on probation and end up going, and they end up giving me what they call a bullet. They gave me a year flat. So that was what the parole board gave me, because the county of I got stopped in Mendo. So the county of Mendocino was not even really convicting people like that anymore on those crimes. When this was in 1999, close to 2000. And I remember vividly the judge said, man, are we even taking marijuana cases like this anymore? He was like, man, I don't want, let the parole board deal with him. He didn't even want it in his courtroom because I only had 6 pounds. That was nothing. I'm in Mendo
in a place
and Humboldt.
where it's like friggin' seas of weed.
You got 6 pounds up in Humboldt is like
Nothing.
620 bags
Yeah.
in LA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel you. It came with some knocks. And then after that, of course, the Fed situation with the 6 shops. So
Yeah, that was later.
yeah, that was much
That
later.
was 07.
07, 08.
08, yeah.
08, yeah, when I got hit
Well, I
then.
bow down to you, bro.
Nah,
Okay.
it's all, hey,
Thank
man,
you.
we all in
Okay.
this together, man. You know shit. Hey, it's a,
Well, I
some of
wouldn't
us,
be here if it
hey,
wasn't for your sweat.
yeah, man.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you.
Right
Okay,
on.
I'm gonna give it to you, man. If it wasn't for your sweat, a lot of us would not be here. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
these black stores, there's 10, 12 black stores in the city of LA, and we know we would not be here if it wasn't for you.
No, I appreciate
Okay,
it. I
so
appreciate
man, thumbs up, man, to you. We appreciate you.
it. Yeah, no
you know,
doubt, no doubt.
As what the streets say, I fuck with you, bro.
Right on,
Okay.
right on.
Okay.
Marco, what you got for him?
Hey, so I would like to know now, where are you in the cannabis industry? Since you're mentioning stores, do you have a store now?
Yeah,
What
I'm the owner of Go Global on the corner of Central and Adams.
Okay.
I opened up Go Global with a business partner in April 2022.
Okay.
Okay, I ran Go Global for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did pretty good the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But then when the excise taxes came on my head, then it kind of changed the game and it kind of changed my sales. I was seeing maybe 150 to almost 200 people a day. When the excise taxes came in, I went down to about 125 people a day. And it was very stressful for me, very hard for me with the high taxes and also with the high rent that my business partner put me in.
Right.
Okay.
The lease that he got and everything, the location and all
Yeah,
that.
he structured that deal, and his family actually owned the property.
So they
You
were
know, when he
benefiting
asked me to
from that.
sign the lease, I
Mm.
remember I've never seen no numbers like this on a lease in my life. He was like,
So
"Don't
his
worry."
percentage was baked in the lease.
It was baked in the lease. He
So
was double
everybody-
dipping.
So they got paid, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
They were getting paid
Much of
monthly.
that, yeah.
Every time you paid them, they
Absolutely.
got paid.
Absolutely. So, you know,
That's
but
cold.
you know, I had to stay with it because I had employees. I'm in this program. I just couldn't just close my doors.
Right.
You know? So my son asked me one day, he said, "Dad," he said, "what you gonna do?" I said, "Dad, I don't know." I said, "But I'm gonna get it figured out." So then about 3 or 4 months later, Danny Shaker's dad, Mr. Sam, came to me and he said, "How's this going, Ish?" I said, "It's rough, Mr. Sam." I said, "Why don't you reduce this rent? It'll help me out." I said, "Sir, I've been giving you $28,000 a month for almost 3 years." He said, "Ish, I can't do nothing for you." He said, "Maybe you need to think about moving." I was like, wow.
Wow.
Is Mr. Sam short?
Yes.
The Botosh Properties?
No, he's not the Botosh. That's the Shaker family.
That's the
Botosh
Shaker.
is, yeah. I did all my grows from the Botosh
Okay.
family.
Yeah, because I just know how
Yeah, I know the Botosh
those
family
people-
very
yeah,
well,
Yeah,
too.
got
They,
you.
they were another cannabis players for the real estate.
Real estate.
They was written to all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, you know,
Mhm.
so a lot of us made money with the Botosh family.
Got
you
you.
know,
Yeah.
they were pretty reasonable on their rents. Was
They
nothing
are.
like
No,
this.
shout out to Sammy. That's my dog. He a
yeah,
good
yeah,
dude.
I know Sam
Yeah,
too.
Sam, my dog.
hmm So you know, I just it was difficult for me. So January 2nd, I decided to close my doors after 3 years.
Oh, really? Of this year?
Yes.
Oh,
I had to.
man.
Okay, I had no choice because I was $50,000 every month in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed a fresh start. So October of 24, I put a notification into DCR that I wanted to move my license. So I'm moving my license over to Florence and Vermont, and I'm opening up my own store. And I'm going to be my own owner, operator, and everything of my own store.
Okay.
So
Right on.
I didn't make any money on Central and Adams, but I do have a hell of a lot of knowledge when it comes to the resale.
Right on.
Okay.
Right on.
Good.
You
Right
know,
on.
so you know,
Good. You said Florence and Vermont.
yeah, I'm
That'd
going
be
to
a little up the street from my people, Verde Plus, I think. Verde Plus. Yeah, shout out to, because they're on Florence and Avalon or something.
Yeah, I
know
think
about
they're Florence and Avalon.
yeah.
Right?
But
Something-
Avalon is
It's
a
fur-
way,
yes, it's
yeah,
way
further
further,
down,
right? Yeah, yeah.
before you get to Vermont and Florence.
Yeah. So it's been rough, man. I don't want nobody to think this cannabis industry that we making a whole lot of money and we balling out of control.
Yeah.
Because we're not. I did better financially before I even opened up a store.
Yeah.
Okay. I was doing good.
Yeah.
You know.
And you know, that's
and-
something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
No.
something that I feel even myself and bro always talk about it. Virgil, we always discuss with our social equity people. Sometimes, we're caught up in our own little world. handling the business that we're running as well. But there was so much lack of education that could have saved a lot of my social equity people so
Absolutely.
much money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's so many moves because I speak to them a lot. You know, I helped Kika with her company, Gorilla.
I know
I helped her launch the first time she launched. So I was the reason why I was there when she was actually booming. I'm the reason
Okay,
with a
cool.
few
I'm
other
glad to
people
hear
that had
that.
it booming. Like the
Yeah.
first 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my efforts
Okay,
were
very
due to
good.
that, right? So, but everybody else that I saw, they just didn't have the right information, man. Like you just said, locking in the wrong leases,
Yeah.
like that was common.
Yeah.
You know, like that's already killing your pocket.
Absolutely.
Just understanding that you don't really need these investors to actually get terms with people.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you fell into this illusion that the investors' relationships are the only reason why you can get terms.
Well,
So
you-
some people have like this attachment to, oh well, he comes
what
with the
happened.
plug, he comes with
That's
the
what
this,
happened.
he comes with the that,
That's
and he
what happened.
don't.
He don't.
You know that, and you know
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
not brother,
no
because
doubt.
California Cannabis introduced majority of the brand in 2019. I said this on a different podcast the other day. In 2019, only the pre-ICOs were open. That's
Yeah.
it. I ain't nobody else. There was no social equity license. That's it.
That's right.
It was the pre-ICO. So
That introduced the
brands
brands to the
to
industry.
the industry. We were actually the first people to give you a
Exactly.
shelf to let you know. We taught the brands how to even get themselves in stores. We taught the
Exactly.
vendors how to be vendors.
Exactly.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Because of how hard we go
Exactly.
in the
Yeah,
game.
No doubt.
So it saddens me sometimes because I do know my social equity people. I saw how it was, but I know all the investors that were involved as well, and I just know the narratives and the illusion that everybody was given.
Yes, for
you
sure.
know? You know what I mean?
For sure. Let me share-
And it was handed over by people who were trustworthy too.
Yeah.
Like meaning like there's people who told you to go with those people who knew those people
Yeah.
weren't no good.
They were no good.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They were no good.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, my investor, business partner, landlord played the biggest game on me.
Mhm.
You know what with the vendors.
Yeah.
Okay. Making me think exactly what you said. I thought he had the connection with the vendors. He didn't. It was my license that those vendors was
What
interested,
they were interested in.
They was not interested
Not
in
in
him.
him.
You understand? They was not interested in him.
No.
They was interested in the license that me and my son applied for,
Right.
and we
And
made
you can
number
establish your
55
own relationship with these
yeah,
people.
I could have, but now I know how.
Yeah.
You know,
understand?
the coldest game
Yeah.
that these folks play is to make you believe they know what they doing. And this is the same thing. Let's just be clear about investigations and law enforcement. Like, right? The only way, like the feds got their 90-something conviction rate is through snitches,
Right.
not through investigative. I'm telling you what I know
Right.
because
They had
they
had-
investigated me.
Yeah. There's a mole.
And they didn't have a no shit.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they had on paper was dumb shit. Like, in other words, they saw me, they said, oh, he was coming out of the house and he had 5 backpacks and he loaded them up in the back of the car. Duh. I was taking my kids to school, dumbass.
Wow.
My 5 kids to school. And I was loading their backpacks up in the car like their father does every morning.
Wow.
They
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we talk about them being smart enough to do investigation, no.
No, they just find somebody dumb enough to give up the information.
Come on, man.
Mhm.
And majority of the people that they have gotten, dead bangers, so to speak,
Mhm.
because somebody told.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody told.
That's
Yeah.
And so the thing that this system and these folks that have fostered this system for many, many years have always made you believe that they know more than what they really know.
Yes.
And that they're
Yes.
smarter than what they
Yes.
really are.
And one thing I have to say that I hate to say it, but I have to say it from personal experience. Also, I hate to say this, but the skin tone sometimes make you think somebody knows more than somebody of your own skin tone. And I'm a
Absolutely.
person that walks this earth in this industry that aside from brother Virgil Grant, I don't really think there's anybody who knows more than me.
That's beautiful.
I'm just being I'm just
Nah.
being
No,
100%. I'm just being 100%
Hey, look,
honest.
I'm
Stand 10 toes down.
a co-sign that, and not just because Marco is my guy, But when Marco was even working for me, managing California Cannabis and Melrose, I didn't have to tell him shit. He really brought shit to me. Like, it was like it was almost like having another me behind the counter at all times. Salesmanship. And he and I used to love to go back and forth on sales.
That's what made the sales better.
Hell yeah.
Because it's like scoring, right? It's like, hey, like, nah, I know he got his 30, but I'm about to get mine 32.
Come on, man.
tonight.
And I never met nobody in the industry that was a hell of a salesman until me and Marco came together. I never met nobody in the industry that understood the game before it was the game, understood the game and how to get in these stores and make them really turn and burn the way they should. There's not a lot of us here.
Yeah.
Or that cares about the game. Because there's a lot of people that, know, but don't care about it. And one thing I do notice that you guys do bring is caring about it, which is why I think you had got social equity passed, because you cared about other people having the same opportunity that you did. You weren't thinking about yourself. You didn't go out there asking for things for yourself. You asked for things for everyone else. And I don't think people realize that caring about an industry that gives back is important. And I think that's what you guys have a lot,
Thank you, Ruvi. Absolutely.
So Ruvi, and I love that you chimed in. What do you have for Ish Man?
I want to know, so now that you're going to start your own, and you have your own connections, you have your own plan, what kind of brands are you going to go after? Like, is there a specific kind of brand that you're going to look to have in your shelves, or is it going to be more like brands that you already know?
Well, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, okay? I'm looking for brands that I create.
Yes.
Me and my business partners, Fire Camp, The Real Ish, okay? The big bank brands. We're going to bring our own brands up first.
Okay.
All right? I'm going to bring other people in my store, but I'm going to focus on my flower from my grow to my store. Okay? With my business partners, okay, that we have come together, okay, and acquired, okay, some real estate that we can actually grow our flower. Okay.
So you guys you're gonna bring edibles, flowers, the whole.
We're gonna do the whole damn thing.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that.
We're gonna do it like Virgil doing.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna do it like that. All right.
Yeah.
So
I hope you do it better than.
It's about many people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that's you do one it better than me.
I'm not speaking on behalf of just me. I'm speaking on behalf of other individuals, black and brown people that I don't even know. All right. I'm hoping that they come to the table and say, hey, man, I want to create a brand. Okay.
Or
I want to be able to help them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love what you're saying, because I've been pushing this, and I gotta say what I gotta say. Since I got with Gorilla, I used to try to bridge these relationships, because I'm the one that brought all the social equity brands into that store.
Nice.
I went out of my way to call everybody, all the women owned, all that she got up in there. It was all that whole shit. It was all me. I went in and I called everybody doing what I do, right? Nice. But one thing I always did that I love that you're saying, but I have to say it, and I got to plug my bro. There's a lot of things in this industry that's like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But here at California Cannabis, we've always had manufacturing. Yeah. Here at California Cannabis, we've always had cultivation. We've always had everything to offer our black peers. You understand what I'm saying? If we wanted to keep things that way. But I have this issue myself. That's why I don't root for social equity as hard as everybody else. I hate to say it, because to me, there's just some players that they're false leaders, false prophets. Yeah, I mean, I know them well, and it is what it is, but they're false prophets, and they misled their people. And people like me have been watching them mislead their people. And that's why I said what I said earlier about the skin tone sometimes makes you get overlooked. And some of our false prophets are actually all a little bit more intrigued and a little bit more astonished by those other skin tones, that they actually put down those of us who know more than those other skin tones. I'm just being 100 with you, because I've seen it. I saw who the management companies that they try to bring in. I saw who the consultants that they try to bring in. I saw all the entities that they try to bring in to help with the business. And all those entities, all they did was milk you, because they knew that you're a program that didn't need, you know what I'm saying?
It-
And then there's people like himself, people like myself that you can go ask questions.
Mhm.
We already are advising you. We're
Mhm.
already telling you what you should and shouldn't do.
Mhm.
But again, it's like, it's not what you say, but who said it.
Mhm.
And a lot of times in this industry, what I got to see is if the skin tone look a little different, that's who they listen to.
I think the biggest issue
You know
is
what I'm saying?
that
Mhm.
social equity became a catchphrase
Mm-hmm.
to people like that. It wasn't a reality. It wasn't from the heart and soul. When I thought about the social equity program, I was thinking about the street hustler. I wasn't thinking about the educated cat. I didn't have to think about him because he was going to be good.
Mhm.
Got his education. He was going to land a good job. He's going to work for them folks. He was going to get in the system. And he was going to do well for himself. No felonies, no misdemeanors. I'm not worried about that cat. He don't need my help.
Mhm.
He don't need nobody's help, really.
Mhm.
It was the street hustler,
Yeah.
the one who was out there that, kept the streets popping,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
That was my mentality of creating social equity for those individuals who kept the block hot.
Yeah, and they're the
You-
ones who had the felonies.
Exactly.
They're the ones
who
who had the
understood
arrests.
how to play.
They're the ones who had the convictions.
Come on, man.
Because
So-
that's what shows that you was outside.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's why that was the whole spirit of social equity and why I created for people like yourself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Perfect candidate of social
Yeah,
equity.
right.
Because he started hustling back in the
Man,
Westchester
1981,
days.
pops
You
growing.
understand me?
That's next
level.
level.
Living in Inglewood
Yeah.
and going to
Real OG.
Westchester, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? That's a whole different ball
Oh,
game
yeah,
and a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
different
yeah. He's
program
authentic.
and a whole different era.
Right.
Well, let's get something straight, brother. I didn't live in Inglewood. My dad did.
Oh, okay.
I lived in Watts.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I was 103rd and Central,
oh,
brother.
okay. All right. 103rd and Central.
Okay, I was 103rd
All
and
right,
Central.
so hey,
Okay.
hey, a hub and a dub.
Yeah.
That's what we
Right,
call
right,
it back
right.
in the day, a
Right,
hub and a
and a dub.
dub. So that, in case y'all don't understand the lingo of a hub and a dub, if you from Compton,
Hub
it's
City.
Hub City.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you was from Watts, it
Mhm.
was Watts, the
Mhm.
W, the
Mhm.
dub. So it was
That's
the
right.
hub and the
And the
dub.
dub, and the
And
dub.
That's how we roll because we all have family from Watts,
That's right.
and everybody from Watts have family from
Make
Compton.
Compton, yeah.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So that was just how we roll. hub and
Right. That's
dub.
hard. That's hard. Okay, look, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit. I want to share two things.
Okay.
By me sitting up reading late night, I saw one little line, and what that line said, that I was able to use my father's felonies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it was very, very, maybe 3 or 4 words.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay, I can utilize this.
Absolutely.
Then I started doing some
Wow.
research.
I didn't
more.
even know
Then-
that.
No,
Yeah.
well, you did know it, and the way it was actually worded in the beginning to us is if somebody in your family
Immediate
was
family.
negatively impacted
Oh,
by the
right.
field war
Mhm.
on drugs,
Mhm.
you qualified.
Right.
If you were a child
Mhm.
and your dad or mom went to prison
Mhm.
behind the field war on drugs, so you knew that.
Got you.
It was
got
just
you.
worded,
It was worded,
you know,
worded
different
yeah.
than what.
But-
But
the-
still,
but-
that's
Yeah, that's huge.
huge though.
And that was the
That's
way we
huge, though.
set it up because my thought was, what about my kids?
Right.
Right.
What if they wanted to apply? My kids were grown at that
Right.
time.
Right.
So it was all about, I supported that fact, right?
Mhm.
Because when you took me away from the home, that left them to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When your dad was taken away from you,
That still
you know,
impacted
there was
him.
some things you had to try to figure out. You
Right.
know, some things you already had figured out. And he kind of laid the foundation of what your master plan was.
Mhm.
But, you know, the fact that you take a father figure away from the home based on something, to me, frivolous as that, you know, of course, you damage the family. So I am glad and always happy to know that people can take advantage of the situation that was set forth through the social equity program.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the social equity program looks very different from when I first helped orchestrate it
Right.
to what it looks like now.
Yeah.
We're talking a 360-degree turn from what it looked like. Because if social equity was the way I meant for social equity to be, half these clowns wouldn't be in the industry
Not at all.
because it wasn't made for them clowns.
Mhm.
It was made for us.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
but
You know
definitely.
what
I
I'm
feel
saying?
like
Real players.
I feel like
infiltrated
they started
the language.
preying on social equity applicants because I think they took advantage that people were struggling with the funding, and that's where they stepped in and took advantage of people that either were, I think, were really excited to start that venture.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, for it
Lack
to
of
have
knowledge too.
Yeah.
yeah, and one of the important things for it to have worked for many, I think, if they had at least covered everyone's lease until they gave you your license. At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
At least have a pool of money for everybody's lease.
Mhm.
Then let them, you know,
Or-
fend for themselves.
or
But
not-
they
or-
you drowned out already.
Or not require that they needed property until they got
Until
the
they
physical
got the
license.
physical license.
So what they could have
You
done
drowned me
is
out.
allowed you to apply for the license. Once you've acquired that,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
License. Put that license in suspense.
Mhm.
Give you a year to
To
almost 2 years
Mhm.
to land you a location,
Boom.
and then attach that
Attach it.
license to the
Absolutely.
location. Now you
Not
didn't
be-
come out of pocket of nothing.
not
right.
bleeding.
Except for whatever the license fee at that first time. And then it sits in suspense, which means you don't pay licensing fees the following year
Right.
until you actually physically
Yeah.
attach that to a location, open your door, get your lease signed, and now
At the very least, I feel like that's what they could have done.
Yeah.
Because
And they-
that really bled a lot of people
that's
out.
the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah, it's
You
bad.
weren't supposed, it wasn't supposed to be attached to property. And the reason why it wasn't, and in the very beginning, let me just be clear, it wasn't attached to property. It wasn't. That changed. And that changed based on the vultures that you talked
Try
about.
to make it more difficult.
Came in and they owned property.
Mhm.
See, and another thing that was a part of that people are unaware about is that you had to qualify based on your status of living within that community,
Right.
Mhm.
right?
So a
And-
lot of people weren't going to qualify. A lot
Exactly.
of people
So
didn't
what the-
qualify.
But that's where DCR
Mhm.
allowed that they didn't check the paperwork.
They didn't
So
check the
if,
paperwork.
just say if Ish owned a body shop on Avalon and Florence, then Ish could put that body shop down and say that's his place of residence, right? And they ain't going to check it.
Mhm.
And then now they just going to qualify him for social equity.
Mhm.
This is how you got all of these people who didn't grow up in South Central
Mhm.
were able to get social equity licenses even without a social equity person,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That first 100 round, that first
That's why
round,
they had to
100
honor the next
people,
100.
None, I guarantee you, 99.9% of those people in that first round, none of them actually qualified for social equity.
Well,
They
because
should
I was
lean
none
on
of
number
them-
social
50, I was
equity.
number 55 out of the 100.
Okay.
Okay.
Out of the first round?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was number
That's
55.
2019, right?
99.9%.
Yeah, so-
You was
You
I
was
that.
part
only
of the
know
0.5.
3 people out of that first, out of that 100 that I can probably really say that they
Come
were
on,
Yeah,
man.
social
Talk
he's
to
a
me.
0.5.
Talk
He's
to
a
me.
0.5%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me. You
Right.
see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So
So everybody else that qualified,
they didn't look
they
like
really-
me.
and
They didn't look
and,
like me.
and they didn't qualify
Yeah.
because nobody fact checked.
No.
If let me tell you something,
Those things
if
were
you
handouts.
pulled all of those applicants
Mhm.
and you line them up right now, you could look at them and say, "Not near one of y'all grew up in South Central.
That's right.
Near one of y'all grew up in
That's
Watson
right.
Compton.
Mhm.
That's right.
Near one of y'all grew up off the East Side.
Mhm.
You understand me? None of them,
None of
right?
them.
They didn't even have the names that could support that because those names weren't the names that I went to school with.
Yeah.
I went to school with Johnsons, and I went to school with Walkers, and I went to school with
With
names like
Joneses.
that, with
Yeah.
Joneses. There was a few Skrbinskis that I went
Right
to
here,
school,
there.
school
Right,
with
right.
here
My
and
side
there.
of town was the
It-
names that you heard. Because
Exactly.
I'm from the side of town where the names that
Come
you talk
on, man.
about,
The
it
na-
was on the paper.
You
It was
feel
my
me?
people, my friends from my side. Yeah.
Exactly. They didn't even come.
They
They didn't
didn't-
even come on that side of the
They
10
didn't. They
freeway,
didn't.
homie.
Come
They
on this
didn't.
side of the
I'm
10
telling you, man,
didn't.
because when I was hustling at my height, we talking in the early 90s, like 91. Man, them cats wasn't even in the hood.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were scared to even come in the hood. There was nobody on Crenshaw. When I
Yeah.
opened up that shop on Crenshaw, 4709 Crenshaw Boulevard, the first shop in 2006, I opened that shop up.
Mhm.
Motherfuckers didn't want to come on Crenshaw. They were scared to be on Crenshaw. Didn't even want to come across the 10 freeway. And all of a sudden now it's cool to come across the 10 freeway like that when they didn't want to do that.
Yep.
That's right.
So, and I've been on Crenshaw since 2006 when nobody wanted to do that. I was in South Central. I had a shop on Wilmington, off of Wilmington Imperial. You know where that is, right there by Ace High.
Yeah.
Had a shop by Ace High is a liquor store right there on the corner. Had been there forever, black owned. I opened up right there in neighborhoods where people did not want to open up. I opened up on 1321 East Compton Boulevard. I had the first licensed shop in Compton ever. Cats didn't want to do that.
Yeah. I not tell people that because I can vouch for what those other people were saying because they're from my part of town. And I know my part of town didn't ever want to do nothing on the other side of town. We had enough where we were at. And the way they were, they didn't want to go over there. I know they would tell me, no, bro, like there's no reason I don't want to go over there.
Yeah.
But you got forced to because the Valley got hot. The Valley was the first place starting to kick fools out.
Well, the Valley is who brought the feds.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
like we was hot. You know what I'm saying?
Wild
Because we wilded over there all
Here's
the
a
time.
little joke that I tell people. I said, you remove South Central LA off the map, everything else around it will crumble. Because everybody from other places is eating off of everything in South Central LA.
Exactly.
They own the properties. Okay, they're building the buildings. They're doing everything in South Central LA.
The busiest shop I worked at or managed at was in South Central.
Yeah.
We were at like 1,500 or 2,000 people a day.
Wow. Yeah.
And we were like that for like 3 years.
But I'll be honest, on our side, that was average for everybody. Because you got to understand the Valley feeds itself. Like I know what you said is kind of true, but the Valley feeds itself. We're our own animal because we have everything else. We have all the entertainment. We have all the out-of-towners, truly.
Geez.
You feel me? Like really where all the out-of-towners are in the Valley.
Yeah, they are.
That's where they're at. The out-of-towners now, go to downtown LA and they stay at LAX and they might go to certain places. Inglewood got popping and stuff, but they wouldn't be out there. The out-of-towners came to do music in Burbank, to do music in Glendale, to do music in North Hollywood, to do music in Studio City. That we have studios all day. So not
only did the out-of-towners, and you 1,000%, not only did the out-of-towners, but shit, you had cats that was in South Central
coming
that
to
wanted
us
to be the Jeffersons and move
on up.
And the
I'm just being 100. I'm just being 100.
A whole bunch of them.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Because in North Hollywood, where my family owned businesses, it was all Jamaicans or my East Coast, my family from Far Rock, Queens, or from Flatbush, Brooklyn, and those areas, right? And then my LA homies.
Yeah.
So NoHo is comprised of like LA homies, South Central, New York, and Jamaican. Because the East Coast was deep early 90s. Because again, what the Valley shows you is when like music was hot. Yep. Because depending when music was hot, the Valley has an influx of that group of people from that region. If Texas was hot, all of a sudden we got a gang of Texas homies in the Valley. When New York was hot in the 90s, all the homies in the Valley was from New York. You know what I'm saying? When St. Louis is hot, all of a sudden everybody from St. Louis. When Atlanta, all of a sudden Atlanta. We could keep going and going and going, but the Valley makes you feel when the music is popping because you got to go there to do music.
And that's where a lot of people went. You know what I'm saying? You had Dr. Dre and them. They was always in the Valley.
Look at all the albums at the bottom. It's Glendale or Burbank.
Can-Am Studio.
Yeah.
Which Death Row had a home base in Can-Am Studio. Yeah. That was the Valley.
That's the Valley.
You see what I'm saying? So you had, not only did you have the music industry, but you had the porn industry.
Chatsworth. That was boom.
Right.
That was the first Airbnb for us. I used to joke around.
Yeah.
The first Airbnb was the porn industry.
You
know what I'm saying? Because you get the cribs. Hey, yo, lady, the backyard. Boom, boom, boom. Just don't go inside the house, though. You can only use the backyard. You can only use this part.
Exactly.
You can't use my bathroom. No.
Yeah.
You need a bathroom, get a porta-potty. You're like, all right, man, how much? 500 a day. All right, 500 a day.
Exactly. No, that's square biz.
And guess what was a part of all of that? Cannabis.
All day.
All of that was a part of it.
All day.
Okay.
Because I got up in some of them places based on cannabis. Like Daring, and what I love what Marco's saying is that there wasn't a studio that I didn't hit in LA.
Yeah.
If this cat wasn't hitting me, if Easy and them wasn't hitting me, if
Yeah.
8 and them wasn't hitting me,
Yeah.
if Snoop and them wasn't hitting me,
Yeah.
Pac and them. I mean, I'm talking about everybody. RBX, when the Long Beach crew was popping with RBX and
Yeah.
and all of those cats that was coming out of Long Beach,
Yeah.
all those cats, the 213 Click, what was the other cat? It was so many cats coming up out of Long Beach back then, but they was hitting all them studios, and there were places that I didn't even know was a studio, because you
Yeah.
walk in and it looked like
It's a brick,
just
it's
a
all
regular place,
place.
house or something, and you go downstairs and this full blown studio.
Yeah.
So I was, because they used to hit me all the time. Hey man, why don't you come through and bring us some of that dodo, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
they used to call me up, and I used to hit every studio. I done been to shoot Echo Sounds, Larrabee North, Larrabee South. I mean, you can't name a
that
studio
you've been to.
that I ain't been to.
Yeah.
Paramount Studios. I didn't off of Vine and whatever street
Whatever
that
over
was.
there, the East
But
Hollywood area.
I'm
Yep.
going up in the studio. I'm seeing groups like Immature.
Yeah.
I'm seeing artists doing, this.
Yeah.
This is when the Thug Life crew. I'm watching Big Psych and all of them,
Yeah.
produce music and do this, just kind of being in the midst of all of that.
Yeah.
Collab that they was doing with RBX, MC8, Warren G, and a couple of people out the Long Beach crew back then, and soundtracks that they, a bunch of soundtracks
Yeah,
back then.
yeah.
Juice, you can't name a soundtrack. Shit, I probably wasn't, sitting there feeding weed to them to
I
do
swear
that
to God,
soundtrack.
I
So
relate to that heavy.
it gets
Heavy.
you everywhere.
I relate to that so heavy because especially where I'm from Burbank. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all I was exposed to. I went to Walt Disney Elementary. Shout out to Walt Disney Elementary. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? You know what I mean? It's a little different. You know what I mean?
I love it, brother. I love it.
I ain't
You know what I
mad
mean?
at you.
Shout out to Walt Disney Elementary. But what I'm saying is it's very relatable because you forget when you was outside back then, man, you was in these studios left to right.
Yeah.
I remember giving Junior Reed, because I was with a lot of Jamaicans. I grew a lot of my
Yeah.
crew was Jamaican.
yeah.
My uncles
It's all
is Jamaican, so a lot of Jamaican cats in my
good.
family. You know what I'm saying, making
Yeah.
moves and hustling, doing what they do. But even I remember a joke with Junior Reed. I gave him some
Yeah.
OG Kush, man.
Yeah.
And the guy, my uncle, Marco, man, Junior Reed said, "What you give him, And I'd be like, "What you mean? What I give him, man?" He's like, "When you give him some," he said, "You give him some cocaine. It's laced, man." I'm like, "It ain't laced, man. It's like some OG Kush, dog." And my man Junior couldn't handle the OG Kush.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You feel me? But
Yeah.
back then we was serving a lot of people, bro.
Serving
we
a
took
lot
us to
of
a lot of
people.
circles and environments, and that's why I say the one thing over there on that side too is that we had a lot of kids that went to like New York Film Academy. Even just we had buildings like off of Barham that were the first places before these buildings have the common amenities that they have today: 2 tennis courts, 2 basketball courts, et cetera, et cetera. There's really only a limited few.
Yeah.
And one of them was on Barham, right across from Universal City, right? So everybody, Eastsiders, Tupac, you name it, Wu-Tang, they all stayed there in the
Yep.
beginning of their career. In the beginning of all these artists' career, that building that was called Oakwood Apartments, that's why they even rap about it
Yeah.
in their
Oakwood.
lyrics,
Yeah.
the Oakwoods.
Yeah.
I was right there by the I
Nice.
live by the Oakwoods,
I know the
right?
Oakwoods.
So I'm always in and out. So when you grow up in all that function, all it is that. And all you're getting is fools of bread. So what the Valley got was we got people who paid more. If that made sense.
Yes, it does.
Because we had a lot of East Coast kids with their parents that had houses for them at 18 to go to New York Film Academy. I
Right.
had friends at 18 where I'm like, "Damn, what you doing up here in the hills?" And he's like, "Well, my mom, we're from New York, but we own a property over here. And since I'm going to school for a year, I'm just here to stay at the house over
Yeah,
here."
ain't that something?
You feel me? And that's what I grew up seeing. And these fools pay more.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Valley had just the influx of more of that type of lifestyle, that
Yeah.
type of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That just dump
Oh,
that
yeah,
type of
for
bread
sure,
around.
For sure.
So Ish,
Oh, sorry about that.
getting back to your journey, in order to see the success of someone like yourself in the cannabis industry, what would your recommendations be? How would you see that? What young pup come to you, look like you, walk like you, talk like you, and say, what should I do? How do I make it? How do I survive in this?
I would tell him to start from the bottom to the top. Okay? I would tell him to start trimming, start growing.
Yes.
Go get you a job. as a grower. Maybe you can't get a job as a grower, but maybe you can be a helper or something in that grow. And you can learn how to grow and start moving yourself up and learn distribution, learn manufacturing, learn branding, learn retail. And that'll help you survive if you want to survive in this game.
It's like
Okay.
get out there and do it, huh?
Yeah, you have to just get out there and do it. Nobody's going to actually give you a roadmap to it. You just got to get out there and do it. It's like what you guys was doing going up to Humboldt many years ago. Okay, nobody just really schooled you on it. You was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
Okay, just gonna get out there and do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
And I
like
encourage young people to do that.
I like you. I like that you say that, because as you were saying that, and I reflect back, shit, that's how we started.
And that's still how you do.
Yeah.
That's how we know.
That's
But
how
you
you
think
gotta
about
do
it.
it.
Now, a lot of these people get fast forward.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, Marco, when you first started, you started from the bottom.
Yeah.
You
Just
got
like
some
Eric.
people that are so privileged, they get put right in the top position and they don't know shit about what they doing. And that's why a lot of these companies fail.
Yeah.
That's why these brands
Yeah.
fail.
Mhm.
That's why these shops fail. That's why these owners fail.
Yeah.
Because they didn't start from the bottom to understand and learn the industry as a whole.
Yes.
In order to be successful in the cannabis industry, you got to know the industry.
Yeah.
You can't just
Yeah.
get it. That's like saying, okay, I picked up a basketball, I done dribbled it 2-3 times, now I'm getting ready to go play.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
And
Like,
you-
nah,
Yeah.
you that ain't how it works.
And you know what I think it is, brother? Because like you just said, some of us had to put in the work to make our money. I think a lot of people came with the illusion that they could just be investors. And I think that's Instagram. I think social media just pollutes people's minds to
Mhm.
just think that passive income is just everything. Like
Yeah.
no one likes to work hard anymore. So
Mm-mm.
I feel like a lot of people came into the cannabis industry as if it's supposed to be a passive income for them.
Yeah.
I felt like they did, I could do this, do that, and I should make this much money.
Yeah.
And anybody like Virgil, especially even us, 2019, 20, even till today, you go see him, he'll be in the store grinding. And
Mhm.
some of the people I worked with that were social equity people, I would have to tell them, hey, look, I don't know why you're sitting up here. I don't know why you're sitting up here smoking, laughing, and joking and complaining about everything that's going on in your facility. You need to be down here with me.
doing it.
Mhm.
You need to
Yeah.
see how I do things. I've been doing
Yeah.
this for 20 plus years. Like, you
Yeah.
need to come over here and see how I greet people. You need to
Yeah.
come over here and learn your own POS system.
Yeah.
You need to come over here and learn pricing and product and quality
Mhm.
and et cetera. And
Mhm.
you need to be doing all this. You need to know how to check people in.
With-
You need to know all your ATM works. You need to know all this.
That's right.
But these people are sitting there feeling like they could just twiddle their thumbs as if it's just a passive thing. So, a question for you: what are the 3 biggest takeaways from your last venture that you will do different this venture?
I think the biggest thing that we all missing and we are not paying attention to is that if you are going to own the business and you're going to run it out of a brick and mortar, you need to own that brick and mortar. You want to be successful, all right? You need to own the real estate.
Mhm.
You need to remove these
I like that.
individuals who's owning this property. You need to remove them, or they're not your business partners. They're supposed to be your landlord, but they're charging you so much
Because of
that
what you
they
do.
are now your business partner.
Yeah.
Mm.
They see that you're making this you're selling this marijuana, and they want to be a part of it, but they want to sit at home in their homes in Beverly Hills, okay, and wait for you to bring their rent money from the weed that you
Melrose.
sell to your people.
Mm.
Melrose.
So my thing is that we as people who are trying to come up, we need to acquire this real estate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. When you rent a building, you need to structure with this owner, okay, that in 5 years or 6 years, that he gives you first right to purchase that property at
Mhm.
market value.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. All
Mhm.
right.
No,
I'm
it's all
not
good.
really-
That's a great takeaway.
I'm not really interested in really opening up any more stores unless me and my crew, we can own the real estate.
on the real
Mm.
estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
You know?
Do like McDonald's did. They understood the value in the real estate.
Absolutely.
And McDonald's became for a long time a real estate company.
Absolutely.
They was flipping. They was a company that flipped and sold burgers, but they was buying up real estate
All day
left
long.
and right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they understood the value in owning the real estate of where they did business, just like you understand the value of real estate, doing business.
Doing business. That's a great takeaway.
What would be your next takeaway?
Number 2.
I'm going to tell you that something that I feel that hurt me as a retail owner, that I didn't have my own goddamn grow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Excuse me. I did have a grow. They told me to shut the shit down, okay, if I wanted to keep my license. So I shut my grow down. I was on 54th and Western for almost 10 years from the Botage family. All right?
Yeah.
So I shut it down. But I should have kept it.
Yeah.
That would have helped me fed my store.
It would have. It would have.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It would have. So,
But I went to my business partner. I says, hey, we need to start branding. We need to start buying product. And he says, Ish, we're not here to compete with the brands. I got up, told my assistant, I said, let's go. Fuck you.
yeah.
Okay?
Why not?
And I went to start competing with the brands.
Yeah.
And I am going to continue to compete with these brands.
That's like you get out on the track and field
Who
and say,
advised
I
you?
ain't here to compete.
Who advised you these things?
My business partner.
Gotcha.
He didn't want me to succeed.
Gotcha.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
trying to just keep you needing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
He wanted a sharecropper.
Yeah.
He wanted a slave. You know what I'm saying? That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And Ish wasn't
Everything
gonna
that
be no
makes you
slave to it.
self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because
So-
now you control your real estate.
Control my real estate.
You have your own brand,
Yes, I have.
which
my own-
means now it's seed to sell.
Yes.
What's the third takeaway?
The third takeaway is to get these taxes lowered.
Yeah.
Not just for me, for the people.
Yeah.
For the people in the
For
community.
consumers,
For the
yes.
consumer. To stop
Yeah.
these consumers from going to these illegal trap shops on buying this illegal weed,
Mhm.
okay, untested, and remove these taxes off us, for we could compete with the illegal market.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Them is 3 good takeaways. You got anything for him, Ruby?
No.
Okay. So Ish, understanding the power in all of that. Also, I would say another takeaway that you and I talked about was that brand mingling, co-brand mingling, right?
Yes.
So Ish has a brand, I have a brand, you have a brand, she has a brand, and we all bring it to that retail, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, we have to understand the power in what we have, right?
Create your ecosystem.
Well, not only that, you have to understand the power that we have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We create everything for the world to take and bite off of us,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So we as a people, they look for us to what's the next thing? What's the next move y'all getting ready to make? Oh, what y'all about to do this time? See, the world sits back and looks at the Black folks, the African American, because we are the trendsetters.
Yes.
And so everybody's looking to say, okay, what's the next trend?
Mhm.
What's the next trend that these brothers and sisters are going to set for us, right?
Mhm.
Who's going to be the next this or that? And
Mhm.
Puffy and them set trends, right?
Right.
Jay-Z and them set trends.
Mhm.
That trend started with cross colors.
Yeah.
And then cross colors morphed into Sean John,
Mhm.
morphed into the next brand, morphed into the other brand, then morphed into what you have now is Athletically Black, which is that brand that Shador and them have advertised on, which is the athletics made by a Black person, and then rest in peace Off-White, which was Virgil Abloh.
Yeah.
So these are the, for us, our move is to now say, we got a flagship store. Marco own a percentage in the flagship. Ruvi own a percentage in the flagship.
That's
I
right. I'm
own,
down.
Ish own,
I'm
and we
down.
take that flagship. So now
I'm
you
down.
ain't burdened with one tax now.
Right.
We all burdened with that tax, and we dividing it 4 ways. So it's easier for us to pay, right?
Absolutely.
Make a whole lot of sense,
Yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we open up that flagship, and guess what? I'm pushing your flower, I'm pushing your flower, I'm pushing her
Mhm.
flower, I'm pushing
That's
my
right.
flower.
That's right.
Yeah, we may have a few other little brands, but we ain't even caring about that. And we pumping it up. Now, you going to get your homie that's in the music industry, you getting your homie that raps, you getting your
I love
homie
it.
that
Mhm.
does something in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry. I'm getting mine, and we pumping this little spot up,
That's
Yeah.
right.
and now it's popping.
Now we're seeing 1,000 people again
Now
today.
we're gonna see it.
Now we're seeing 1,000
because it
people
can get there again.
because we're the trendsetters,
Yes.
and we
Yes.
set the trend. So when people come to
1000%.
town, ain't nobody telling us what they think they want. We telling them what we think they should have.
Absolutely.
Why? Because we the trendsetters. We not the
Absolutely.
trend followers.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like Dr. Dre said, when y'all trying to do what we did, we've already done it,
That's
and
right.
and that's old to us now.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Now you remember when the kids, the little young white kids, hopped on that little move they used to do all the time, that little move like that. We was over that. We was already on to something else.
Mhm.
Now all the young kids with the handshakes.
Mhm.
Man, how long we been doing handshakes?
Yeah.
And what we call it, we been slapping 5, just so y'all know where that came from. We been
5 on
slapping
the black
5.
hand side.
5 on the black hand side. You know what I'm saying? We used to been doing that from day one.
From day
So
one.
long when that now everybody catching on. Come on, man. We was doing that when we was
Long time
kids.
ago, man.
You
Long
know what
time
I'm saying?
ago.
We the trendsetters,
Yeah,
man.
I love
And
it.
so what we have to do is take our power back.
Yeah.
have
I
to take it
love
back.
what they doing in certain parts of Africa. They're taking their power. There is what I call a paradigm shift in this world.
Mhm.
There is what they call a paradigm. I'm gonna say it again. A paradigm shift in this
Paradigm.
world.
For
And
real.
you got to understand this happens maybe thousands upon thousands of years apart. When you had this group of people that was running the show, and then you had now these people rising up running the show, this is the time for people that look like us all over the world
Mhm.
to begin to take back our power
Mhm.
of what we have from day one.
Mhm.
And now we have to understand our power in the cannabis industry
Yeah.
as players who create the content and everything that's based around it. Do you always see how they look at what Snoop got going on? What is Wiz Khalifa? Or what is Mike Tyson? It's always somebody that's popping.
You know what's funny? That Suede Shop, you know, the actual person that owns so that it's a social equity,
Mhm.
but the actual owner is not social equity.
Exactly.
You know,
Of
and
course not.
taking advantage of that, it's Snoop's, takes advantage of the culture, of the kind of people that come in
Absolutely.
here and making money off of that, not wanting to pay employees what they deserve. You
But
know?
see, that's exactly what you said. That's
Mhm.
why I say, see, and she confirms that with one
Mhm.
shop
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
popping, right?
Mm-hmm.
We set the trend.
Yep.
They come in, swoop in, as we
Mhm.
call them culture vultures, right?
Mhm.
Because they swoop in like a vulture, take
Mhm.
our culture,
Mhm.
and then begin to benefit from that.
Mhm.
And it's time that we begin to take back what's
Taking it back,
ours,
yeah.
and we
Absolutely.
benefit from it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, I wish that Suge was kept a sense about himself and grounded about where he came from, in the sense that he should have understood the power that he had.
Mhm.
That dude right there had, like, because I was in the midst of all of that, so you hear the things that are going on. And because Suge graduated from Linwood, he had a lot of Linwood people working for him.
Yeah.
You know, I graduated from Linwood. He came out in 84. I came out in 85. So there was a lot of our homies and homegirls that was working for Death Row when Death Row first started.
Right.
That was that Linwood crew.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so people that came from Linwood was smart and level-headed. Right? They weren't like on some idiot time. There was a few hard heads, you know, running around Linwood like that, but not really.
That's right.
We were all square kids, you know, had good families,
Right.
wanting us to go in the right direction and so
Yeah,
on
yeah.
and so forth. And those were the type of people that was working for Death Row at that time, keeping, you know, Death Row was on
That's
track.
what- now it makes sense.
The Death Row was popping.
Now it makes sense.
You
why
know
Death
what I'm
Row
saying? You
was
had people
ran right.
coming from the East Coast that wanted to jump ship, people coming from here all over that were in the music industry that wanted to sign with Death Row. And then all of the Compton crew came in. And of course, we have cousins and family from Compton. I grew up in Compton, right? So, uh, uh, grew up in Compton and then grew up a portion of my life in Linwood and then went back to Compton for another portion of my life, right? So, with that being said, we understood the dynamics of Linwood and Compton relationship. And you have to be from those sides of town to understand that relationship, right? So Death Row was popping. Then when the Compton crew came in, it turned into something different. But I say all that to say is that Suge had an opportunity to be bigger than Berry Gordy in the rap industry. And he could have done rap for brothers and sisters justice had he kept shit in order, done things a certain way. Yeah, you got to lead with a strong hand in that. Because don't think Clyde Davis and the rest of them cats didn't get where they are because they didn't do some dirty work, or have somebody do it for them. And the only reason Berry Gordy got to where he was is because he had the Black Mafia in Detroit backing him up. So understand everybody had to have some type of force to stay circulating because that was the dog eat dog cutthroat industry. Still is, but not as aggressive as it was back then of how they treated people. Suge could have had his own distribution company, man. You know how big that would have been with Death Row? And if he was smart enough to say, all right, let me do Death Row / Aftermath. That would have then turned into Death Row / Slim Shady or Shady Records or whatever. Death Row / whatever 50 Cent's label is. Death Row / Snoop's label. Death Row / Daz and Corrupt. And everybody else that would have jumped ship. Because 25% of 50 or 60 artists, that's damn good eating.
Sure is.
Versus trying to take everything from them and leave them with nothing. Now, the abuser or the abusee becomes the abuser, and that's normally how things happen. When somebody does you wrong, you tend to do somebody else wrong. It's just an unfortunate cycle, a sick cycle that turns. But that dude could have been bigger than Berry Gordy in the industry because I saw how many people were willing to come do business with that man. You know what I'm saying? Had he just stayed focused, man, to this day, man, he'd have been all that in a can of biscuits and then doing collaborations with Bad Boy Records and all of the other companies that existed back then he would have still been able to eat off of them and they would have been able to eat back and it would have been a thing that we could share and all do together. That's what we have to do collectively right now in the cannabis industry for our survival.
Yes, big time. And then one thing I'll say also for my my social equity people or just my black owned brands or any stores or whatever. Maybe because of, me coming from the Valley side, I have to look at things that way. But man, obviously we got to take care of our people, but don't forget to run a business like a business and get everybody's money.
Yes.
Like stop just appealing to just
black
us.
People.
You understand what I'm saying? Like no other business as successful in the world operates that way.
No.
And we keep ourselves so hindered with that mentality. That's why I say I don't understand it because of where I come from. Like I had no choice. Like I was the one of my kind. You know what I'm saying? There was no, it was Filipino, Armenians, Jews, Cubans. I'm surrounded by everything else but black folks. If there's black folks, maybe like 3 of us or whatever. And I'm Panamanian, Colombian, so I'm like an oddity because like I'm some Spanish speaking black dude, right? So I seen though a lot of success from a lot of companies and things I've been part of or I've witnessed or just even studied and watched. From Warren Buffett to any friggin' the Waltons to anybody, I don't care. But even the black billionaires of today, we cannot just have a product that only appeals to us.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like if you're making a damn microchip for a computer, it's not just for our demographic. It's literally a microchip that hopefully you could give it globally, right? So it's like we have to think global, not local so much.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And our local mentality keeps us with local money.
Right. And that was the reason why I said we are the trendsetters, right? Because our trends that we set go global.
Yeah.
You see Asians over in China with their pants sagging. You see Englanders over in England with
Yeah.
their pants sagging.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You see Germans over in Germany with their pants sagging. You look all over the world. We have set those trends, and the trends that we set are for everybody, right? So yes, I agree 1,000%. We cannot. When I opened up a business, I didn't open up this business said I'm opening up a black business. I said I'm opening up a cannabis business to do cannabis business,
right,
and I
all the
want
people.
any and everybody that loves cannabis to walk through my door. I don't care what you look like,
What you look like.
where you come from, what your race is, what your
Yep.
that's none of my business at the end of the day.
Yep.
My business is to make sure that you're a satisfied customer.
That's right.
I served you the best
That's
of
right.
of our ability.
That's right.
I educated you to the most,
Yes.
to the most high, and that you are satisfied with the service that I rendered to you, and that you loved it so much that you will want to keep coming back.
Absolutely.
That's all I stepped into
Absolutely.
business
Absolutely.
to do. Nothing different.
Nothing
right?
different.
I came even when I hit the streets. When I hit the streets, you wouldn't believe how many white folks used to come to some of them weed spots in Compton
Yeah,
because they knew
yeah.
Compton was popping
Yeah,
like that,
absolutely.
right? And then we talking back in the chronic days. So Compton was hot, right? And so folks was coming all over. And I was happy to see that because it made me feel good that I know that this is a universal thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Going to the reggae functions.
Mhm.
It's a universal thing. You
Yeah.
sitting next to a white boy, y'all passing joints down all the way down and around and this and that. You don't
Yeah.
give a damn. You
Yeah.
ain't stop and say, oh, wait a minute. I
Mhm.
can't, none
Yeah.
of that crap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you right.
And I
Marco.
want to give a lesson that a friend of mine, he's a mentor, gave me a long time ago. He goes, Marco, bro. He goes, do you know how you make money in this world, bro? And I go, how? He's either you come up with the idea or you steal it, bro. That's all you do, bro. You come up with the idea or you steal it. That's all you do. But to some people, if you think of it so like it's deeper than that. Everything that dude tells me seems like basic, but it never is when I dissect it.
Yeah.
What it is this. I get more excited now when I see our brothers and my Latinos too, right? But my Latinos been doing this, so I'm not even gonna include them because they kind of have that mentality already. But I like now what I'm seeing when you see a brother own a Thai restaurant,
Yeah.
when you see a brother own a taco restaurant, when you see a
Yes.
brother own an Italian restaurant,
Yes.
when you see a brother own a sushi restaurant,
Yes.
when you see a brother own something that ain't from us, but we know how to do the business.
Exactly.
Because everybody else knows how to do our
their
business.
Absolutely.
But we don't learn how to do their business.
Man.
You understand? And because of where I grew up, that's all I saw is business.
That's right.
Exactly.
All I saw is business. I know
Exactly.
nothing else, man.
Exactly.
I've been indulged in business my whole goddamn life.
Yeah.
It's just I've been drowned in it.
That's beautiful.
And what I've been seeing
Mhm.
is this. That's why I use the restaurant examples of us owning an Italian spot.
Yep.
When in the valley, and I'm gonna say what I gotta say. It was only the black homies and those of us that own barber shops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Only those, you know what I mean? And shit like that.
Mhm.
Now you know who own all the barber shops?
Yeah.
Army and homies and
Army.
everybody else
Yeah.
because they learned our hustle and they
Yeah.
almost learned how to do it even better and bigger
Exactly.
in a business way.
Exactly.
You feel me? Well, ours
Exactly.
is just a little hole in the wall barber shops
Mhm.
here and there. They they're franchising their shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that wasn't their shit.
No.
What I'm saying is other people. That's the thing about other groups that you have to acknowledge and respect and
Mhm.
admire and
Mhm.
adapt and
Mhm.
acquire.
Hmm.
You have to do all of these things as much as they do it from us. We have to do it from them.
Yeah.
We did here in LA.
You
we
know-
had in LA. We did have some very big name, black-owned beauty salons.
Yeah,
There was brothers up on Melrose Boulevard.
Yeah.
They were
Mhm.
black,
yeah,
Mhm.
and they were running big time,
Yeah.
selling. There was big time beauty salons on Crenshaw Boulevard.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. No, I know big time because I
Yeah.
remember seeing them.
Yeah.
But franchising is different than
the
big
franchise
time.
is definitely different.
Franchise is building a business model.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That is so
Go anywhere.
consistent
Mhm.
that it then becomes passive.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Having a great store is one thing, but it's
Mhm.
just that's what I'm saying. Like I got to see fools that build things that really turn things into passive income,
Mhm.
and it's all we need to learn how to do. We
Absolutely.
need to learn how to also have humility and learn from what they do better than us, as much as they learn from us what we do better than them.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
Okay.
And if we can't even do that, we ain't gonna win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a database for about 15 to 20,000 customers that came through my store in 3 years period.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't black people.
Exactly.
You understand? It just
Exactly.
wasn't black people. It was
Mhm.
all race of
All.
people.
Yeah.
People from all different times of life that came through my front doors.
Yeah.
And I have that database
Yeah.
still today.
And
Yeah.
I think
And I'm
that
going to contact them.
And I
Yeah.
think the good point that I like what you made, Marco, and sometimes we some of us, not all of us, some of us put ourselves in that box. Black woman owned business. Well, that don't appeal to me. You see what I'm saying? And how many men are out there going to shop and buy as well, versus women? On the average coming through my store, I see a bunch of men coming through my store. Kind of see more men than I see women. But then you say black woman owned. How is that man going to feel good about walking through a black woman owned business? And that's the point that you were making that I really like that you made. With the food situation, because food is for everybody.
For everybody, we should
Like,
give.
I don't eat
Just like
soul food
cannabis.
every day.
Mhm.
And I couldn't eat soul food every day. I don't eat tacos every day. And I'm sure Latinos don't eat tacos every day. I'm
Yeah.
sure they want some Italian food, or they want to go to a sushi bar,
Mhm.
or they want maybe a good hamburger,
Yeah.
or maybe some
French
barbecue
food
ribs,
real quick.
or maybe some soul food.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Some
saying? And that's
Brazilian
with
food.
everybody. That's
Yeah.
just human, the way humans operate. They will not sit and eat and do the same thing over and over again. And we have to understand that, right?
Yeah.
Business is just that.
That. It's just that. And that's what made me understand it, because I grew up around people who taught me. So many of us want to tailor make everything. Everything has to be so tailor made that you can't even. Business literally is all the same, that you can own a liquor store, a gas station, a clothing shop, a shoe store, real estate, and it all at the end of the day,
It's all
it's all business.
hmm
And some of us just try to stick to just one thing. Just do it all. And learn how to do what everybody does. Like, I just transitioned to other people that own a Chinese restaurant and have some Chinese dudes cooking. In reality, most of Chinese restaurants is my Hispanic homies anyway.
Exactly.
So just get the Hispanic homies to do it.
Yeah,
That's why the
exactly.
Hispanic homies could open any restaurant,
Yeah.
because they cook at every
Yeah, they cook.
restaurant. So it don't matter what restaurant you talking about, they could open up a business.
And it's funny that you say that, Marco.
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny. It is. It's funny that you say that, but that is a true reality. I'm gonna tell you, because I remember back in the day, and I'm 57, so I've lived long enough to know this. When I was a kid, guess who the cooks were? They were all black people.
They were all black people.
I don't care what restaurant you went to. You looked in the back and you seen a brother back there on the line cooking, because that was the jobs that we could get at the time.
Yeah.
Was a line cook, and the brothers was
Well,
in
we
the
still had lunch ladies. Most of the time, they were black women.
exactly.
We still have them.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
go into that Chinese food restaurant,
Yeah,
and Fanqua, she'll introduce the, welcome, come on in, right? But then you look back there,
Exactly,
hey
in the
brother,
back.
what's going on? Look at some of that. Let me give you some of that Thai
Yo,
phone long
You
food.
said you want fried rice, right? You're like, yo, kid, man, I want the fried
You
rice,
feel me?
dog.
So yeah, I get it. Hey, and the times have changed now. So now you have the transition.
Yeah, yeah.
Shoot, you go, like you said, you go to a restaurant now. Shit, I want some. Let me get a 7-piece on them ribs, and you looking back there, and Jose is
Julio.
back there. Jose,
Julio,
what's
Jose,
up,
my
man?
niggas is
Oh, you
chilling.
working here now? Yeah, man, I'm cooking the
Hey, no,
ribs.
yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's, hey man, this is what it is. But Ish, man, it was really a pleasure having you on, brother, man.
Absolutely,
I mean,
brother. Big
not
time.
just a
Big time.
pleasure, but an
Sure.
honor having you grace
Thank
the mic with us, man. Here, we appreciate your journey, and we understand where you want to go with it. I love to be a part of it myself,
We will do it together.
in building and making
Let's do
things
it.
happen, for us all. We are the trendsetters.
Yeah, we the trendsetters.
Bottom line, we the trendsetters. We been there, we done that over and over again, and we need to continue to do it, but we need to take our power back. We need to be the ones that people are coming to and asking us, well, what's hot and what's not
Absolutely.
when it comes to cannabis,
Mhm.
because that's what it was when we was out there. When you was back at Westchester, they was coming to you for what was good and what wasn't, right?
That's right.
They came for you for what was good
Yeah.
and what wasn't.
Yeah.
They came to me and asked me, "Hey, golly, tell me what's happening, man? Where's the bomb diggity?"
Man, and I love those questions because they
You
make
know
you
what
feel
I'm
like
saying?
a doctor. Yo, man, I got my eyes itching, man, and my stomach hurt. What can give me? Shit, I'm gonna have to smoke this motherfucking haze, man. Oh,
Yeah,
like,
so
I don't know if that shit was gonna work or not, but
Really does, but that's right.
so as we wind down, we do our famous what is it? Our
Fun fact.
fun facts. There
Oh,
we go. I was
okay.
fun fact. So I'm gonna go on and kick out the fun fact right now. It ain't too fun, but it's a fact.
Okay.
So, and this is something that's very important. Me and Ish was talking about it earlier today, and I might have to put my specs on, man, so I
Okay,
can
yeah,
read
Do that,
this.
brother, do
But
that,
it's
brother.
talking
Buy me some
about
time.
it's talking about excise tax, right? So when we talk about excise tax, I'm gonna give y'all a definition. This is a so-called fun fact. An excise tax or excise tax. An excise or excise tax is in duty on manufactured goods that is normally levied at the moment of manufacturing for internal consumption rather than at the sale. Well, if I read that definition, that don't represent me in retail.
No, because you're not manufacturing.
I'm not
Mhm.
manufacturing. And if I think about it, that don't represent me as a cultivator
No, because you're not.
because I'm not
You're
manufacturing.
growing a product.
So if I take retail,
Mm-hmm.
cultivation,
Mm-hmm.
and I take distribution, and
Mhm.
I take retail, where did I manufacture in any of that?
It shouldn't be excise tax.
Shouldn't be
attached.
no excise tax on that. Now, let me give you the kicker on this fun fact, because this is a good fun fact that I want everybody to get, right? It says, is any duty on manufactured goods, we already showed that it wasn't manufactured goods, is normally levied at the moment of manufacturing. So why is the retailer paying excise tax when it's supposed to be levied at the moment of manufacturing? And if it's never manufactured, then when should it be levied? In my mind, it shouldn't be levied at all because it's never been manufactured. So let me ask you this. Fun fact, do they put excise tax on oranges?
No.
Because oranges are manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they have to take them and squeeze them and turn them into orange juice. Do they put excise tax on milk? Milk is manufactured because when it come from the cow, it go in the whatchamacallit, get pasteurized, and it's manufactured. You see what I'm saying? So the question
Makes
is,
sense.
how and why
Right.
is the fun fact.
Yeah, good one. I love it.
And where's all that excise tax money going?
I like that.
That's another. Well, that's something we need to investigate. Where's the excise tax money going?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hit you real quick with something with taxes too. I just found something with taxes. So look, man, this is my fun fact. Tax revenue made by each state from legal marijuana, $20 billion. Let's see. Right here. Let me tell you what the numbers is right here. California leads all the states with $5.7 billion in adult use cannabis tax revenue since launching legal sales in 2018. Washington follows with $4.1 billion since 2014. And then the other states is Illinois with $1.98 billion, Michigan $1.22 billion, Nevada $1.1 billion, Oregon $1 billion, Massachusetts $989 million, Arizona $703 million, Alaska $161 million. That's for all, you know what I'm saying? That's the money that's been made, y'all.
And you wonder why we lead. We lead because we tax the most and the highest.
$5.7 billion.
That's crazy.
Exactly. Tax the most and the highest.
Before we end this, I want to say, here's my fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Let's measure M. You tell me, Measure M, where the funds from Measure M supposed to go. Should the funds from Measure M go to the general fund?
No.
So if the funds is going to general fund, and it was never brought to the people to ask, can you take this money to general fund? What gives them the right to do it? Because they're doing it every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Ruvi.
So my fun fact,
Yes.
it has to do with cannabis, not with Texas.
Let's do it.
But with the terpenes. So myrcene is found in OG. I love OG. But it's also found in mangoes. And they say that if you eat a mango an hour before you smoke cannabis, it enhances and it makes it last longer.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm
fun
selling
fact
mangoes in
about-
my store now. No, I'm giving them free.
And fun fact about mangoes, it's the world's, I guess, healthiest fruit.
Healthiest fruit.
I
Yeah.
believe that.
Like the world.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we
crazy.
appreciate y'all tuning in to Token Tuesday. Every Tuesday, tune in. You're going to see us here talk some real shit. And I hope you guys learned something this evening. We have my man Ish Barber here, man.
sir.
Hey,
Yes,
he's
sir.
doing
Thank you
great
for being
things in the
here.
cannabis industry. Y'all go support the brother,
Yes.
man. He going to have it open. We going to keep y'all
Posted.
informed and
Yep.
where and how to reach him.
Yep.
He's going to have it good. Marco to my right, Ruvi to my left. And make sure y'all hit the subscribe button down there. Catch us on, every streaming platform, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it, Roku. We on everything. So check us out. CC Token Tuesday. Also go to our Instagram, CC Token Tuesday, and check us out there. You can always email us and DM us the whole 9 yards. We'll reach back out to you.
Yes.
Until then, we going to holler at y'all later. Thank y'all for tuning in for Token
Token
Tuesday.
Tuesday, you already
Peace
know.
out.
Token Tuesday, it's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we doing in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Token Tuesday, show you how to do it right. You need